So the purpose today is obviously we're going to go have an overview of the National Lottery Community Fund. We have had our new strategy launch, which is It Starts with Community, and it's about going through our plans on the current offer and how it will affect applications in the future. We could just go to the next slide, please. Okay, so the agenda for today, I'm going to start off with an introduction of the National Lottery Community Fund. Some of you, I'm sure, have been applying to us for years and know about us, but there will be some that it's quite new. So just to give a bit of a background on the fund. Then I'll look through who can apply and what we can fund. And then do an overview of our current funding offer, which is our two main funding streams, Reaching Communities and Awards for All. There will be a chance at the end for questions and reflections. As Sharon said, if you can put them in the chat, because there's so many of us in the room, and then we can go through them at the end. I also want to say that this is all very new to myself as well, so I might not have the answers, but I will go away and find the answers and come back to you. If you're happy with Sharon, give me your contact details as well. Okay, I will also want to say there is a lot of information on the slides. And as Sharon said, I'm going to provide you with the slide deck at the end. And there is some hyperlinks to our website throughout the slide as well. So please do look through them and get more information from our website as well as we go when you get them. Okay, so into the next slide, please, Sharon. Okay, so the National Lottery Community Fund is the largest funder in the UK of community activities, with the National Lottery players contributing around 30 million to good causes each week. Here at the National Lottery Community Fund, we distribute over 700 million a year to communities across the UK. Locally, the boroughs of Oldham, Rochdale and Tameside have a budget of around £1 million a year, which does sound a lot, but when you cut it down, it's only three big grants in the Reaching Communities year. Okay, so today, what is it that we are changing with our new strategy, which launched in 2023? It went live with Reaching Communities on the 1st of April, but with Awards for All, it is going to be a bit later in the year. But with that, through the consultation that we've done widely within communities and stakeholders, and that we've reviewed learning of what's worked and what hasn't over the past 30 years, as well as considering changes to society and challenges that are coming up to communities, we've come up with the 4 missions that are shown on the bottom of the screen. And again, these are hyperlinked, so when you click on them, when you got the slide, it'll come into more information. So the 4 priorities are coming together, enabling children and young people to thrive, environmentally sustainability, and to live healthier lives. Now, we'll also be investing most in places, people, and communities who experience poverty, disadvantage, and discrimination. Now, I'm going to touch on them all in a bit more detail later on into the slides. So if we could just move on to the next slide. Okay, so who can apply? Our programs are open to any voluntary and community groups that are not for profit. So if you're a registered charity, a constituted voluntary community group, a not-for-profit company, or a community interest company. You can also apply if you are a statutory body as well, such as a local authority, council, or school. We can accept applications for individuals or sole traders if you're not based in the UK, and also if you haven't got at least 2 trustees that are independent of each other, so they're not married, they're not related by blood, and they don't live at the same address. As you can see, there's a link up there as well for further information, so you can check your eligibility online. Okay, if we go to the next slide. Thank you. So what can you apply for? We are quite a general funding with that you can come in for core costs as well as project costs, which is quite rare. So you can come in for obviously your running costs, any equipment or materials, if you want to do a one-off event, any staffing or training costs, and also any capital that you've got. So if you've got a land building or refurbishment projects that you want to do. And then through the Reaching Communities, you can also come in for organisational development costs as well. Now, this list is not everything. So if you're not sure if there's something that you are wanting to come in for, by all means, contact us and speak to us about it. Okay, so going on to the next slide. So now I'm going to start going into our two main funding streams. So this is Reaching Communities, which is our larger part of grants and what I look after for Oldham and Rochdale. So it's anything over £20,000 and up to 5 years worth of funding. Okay, if we just go to the next slide, please. Okay, so Reaching Communities Funding is a two-stage application. So we have our first stage, which is your expression of interest, which you'll complete a very short application. And then if that's successful, we'll ask for further information for the second stage. We fund single organisations, but also partnerships and collaborations between multiple organisations. Some of you may, in the past, have applied for the Partnership Fund, which ran alongside Reaching Communities. Now they've both been joined together. So you can still come in as a partnership with other organisations, but it will be through the Reaching Community stream going forward. Our applications are online, but if you do have any special requirements and any other formats, then they are available as well on request. And we do recommend and request that you apply the amount that's proportionate to your organisation's income. We have applications that come in and they're a lot higher than the organisation's income, which is then a step up, and it's harder for you to sustain, and it's more of a high risk, so they're less likely to be funded. So to really look at, when you're looking to come in, what amount that you are needing, is it all needed, and is it in line with your income as well? Okay, so if we go to the next slide, thank you. So the new priorities for the Reaching Community Fund, we've got 3 priorities. Our first one is around equity, to support places and people and communities experiencing poverty and disadvantage. Then we've got one around community participation, making sure that people are able to shape the decisions that affect their lives. And then lastly, we've got our 4 missions that you need to at least align strongly with one of them. Now, I'm going to go into all this more detail of the next few slides, but just as another bit of an overview, our funding is available to all communities, but our priority going forward is going to be places, people and communities that need it the most. And by community, we mean people living in the same area, or people with similar interests or life experiences, even if they don't live in the same area. Okay, so now I'm going to go into a bit more information on the priorities that we've just gone through. So on our equity lens, we want, like I've just mentioned, we want to support communities that need it the most. So we're going to be prioritising places with higher levels of poverty, disadvantage and discrimination. And we'll be looking at background statistics such as the index of deprivation to check when we're making our decisions if this area is an area that is experiencing levels of poverty, disadvantage and discrimination. We'll be looking at communities that are least set up to help support. So communities that don't currently have a voice, or they don't have any infrastructure to bring the communities together. And we'll also be looking at projects or organisations supporting people or communities experiencing poverty, disadvantage and discrimination, and also work that's addressing barriers to participation for certain communities. So what does this mean for yourself? Well, when you apply, we're going to want to know, who is it you're working with? Is it a particular local community? What experience and knowledge and engagement do you have with people who are facing challenges? What background have you got in working within this area? Just want to say, as the Northwest, looking at our figures, we are very much working within this area already. 78% of our grants have been working in areas of high deprivation, poverty and disadvantage discrimination. So we're already there. It's not something new for the Northwest. And even though we are prioritising communities that are greatest in need, we will still consider applications that are a good fit with our priorities in England. For communities that are not based around a local area, We'll consider other things like which group of people in England are facing the biggest challenges, are being treated the least fairly. And examples of this could be people that are facing discrimination or disadvantage because of their living in an area of high poverty, they have a disability, for their gender, sexuality, or race, or a combination of many things. Okay, moving on to our priority 2, which is supporting people and communities to shape the decision that affects their lives. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, we've known that communities know best what they need, and this is something that we've seen time and time again, that some of the best solutions for communities' challenges comes from the communities themselves, particularly in time of adversity. And we want to prioritise and support ideas that demonstrate community involvement in the initiation, the design, the development, and the delivery of projects. Okay, so by involving the community, we mean to be meaningfully involved in the community in the design, development, and delivery, especially people that are directly benefiting from the work that you're doing. We want you to show us how you work with the community and how they have real control over the things that are important to them, and that they can influence services they use or decisions that are affecting their lives. And we're more likely to fund organisations that are run and led by people with personal experience of the issues that you're helping to deal with. Now, this could be volunteers, staff, or trustees. And we're really keen to fund projects that help communities that are currently the least empowered, specifically communities that are experiencing poverty, disadvantage, and discrimination, as this is where work on community empowerment can really make the biggest difference. Okay, so then on to our third priority, which is our 4 missions that I mentioned earlier on in the slides. So the third priority is that you have to meet at least one of these missions. And we would prefer you to meet one really, really strongly than to try and fit into all 4 of them. So really look at which one you will be supporting and really hone in into 1 or 2 of them at the most. Okay, so our priorities are for, first one is to come together, which is providing inclusive places and spaces and activities, either virtually or physically, especially for communities where people are least able to come together. Then we've got to help children and young people thrive. And with this, we've really got to focus on developing positive social and emotional skills, providing a safe space and trusted relationships for children and young people, and involving them and their families in the decisions that affect their lives. And we want to help prevent issues before they happen. So early intervention. For the next one, it's enabling healthier lives. And with this, we are going to be honing in onto health inequalities. So it's supporting people most affected by health inequalities, the root causes of the health inequalities, and supporting people who are experiencing health inequalities to influence the health system. And how can we help prevent issues with people's health before they happen? Okay, and then the last one is the newest one really to the fund to look at being environmentally sustainable communities. And by this, we'll be looking at empowering people to engage with climate issues and adapt to the impacts of climate change, taking part in activities to make a positive environmental impact, like reducing carbon emissions or creating a space for wildlife, but also helping communities to have access to quality natural spaces by increasing the amount of quality natural spaces for wildlife and for people to experience the nature around them. Okay, so if we move on to the next slide, this one I'm just going to go through very quickly. It's just a video that's embedded in the slide to watch at a later date. We're not going to go through it now, but it's just going into more information on our 4 missions and overarching outcomes that we are looking to meet through the missions as well. So it's just a bit of background information for you when you're going through the slide deck. So if we just move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so the next slide. Oh, sorry, you need to press it twice because the video starts. There we go. So these are the 4 questions that are the Reaching Communities application on our website at the expression of interest stage. So like as you can see, there's not much work to be done at this stage. So it's what would you like to do, where we want you to tell us, what's the activity, what's the project you wanted to do, what is it what difference you're wanting to make, and who you wanting to make that difference for. And how will it achieve one of our missions? Will it be that you're still looking to bring communities together? Are you looking to help children and young people thrive? Are you looking at the health inequalities or the environmental sustainability side? And then explain to us, is it something new, or is it something that you've done, you've got experience done, it's worked well, and you want to carry on? Because we fund existing and new projects. So the second question, who will benefit from your project? So we want to know who you will work with and how you will support people, places or communities that are experiencing poverty, disadvantage and discrimination. So tell us how you're going to reach people that are experiencing this. How are you going to adapt to meet the needs of people that you're working with? And how you're going to deal with things that could stop people from getting involved and participating and reduce barriers. The next question, how does your project support people and communities to shape the decision that affects their lives? So again, we're wanting you to really show us how you've involved the community, how they've been involved in meaningfully in the design, development and delivery of your work, and if there's any personal experience within your organisation. And then lastly, why are you the right organisation to do this work? Why are you the best place for us to fund you to deliver this work? So tell us a bit about the background, your experience of what work that you've delivered before, what your experience of working with places, people and communities that we are looking to prioritise, and what connections you currently have locally that will help deliver the work that you're looking to do. Then if you are invited through to the next stage, we will ask for a more detailed full funding proposal and a detailed budget. But we will still be taking a conversational approach to advise around what we need to take your application forward. And just lastly, in regards to timeframes for the Reaching Communities, the initial expression of interest at the moment is around 4 months for the decision, with a final decision at the second stage at approximately 10 months after the initial application. So when you are looking to apply, just bear in mind the timeframes. Obviously, sometimes it can be quicker, sometimes it can be longer, although the majority of the time it's not, but just have in your mind that it could be 10 months before you get a final decision. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. Okay, so this is our smaller funding stream, Awards for All. And again, there's a link there what takes you through to some more information on this grant going forward. So the Awards for All, it's anything from £300,000 up to £20,000. And it is a two-year program, so you can have 20,000 for 1 year or over 2 years if you needed a bit of a longer time grant. So if we just go on to the next slide, please. Okay, so it's a one-stage application process. When you apply, you're putting in your bank details already. So if you are successful, the money goes straight into your account straight away. You can only hold one grant at a time through the Awards for All, and it's a maximum of £20,000 within a 12-month period. This one grant does prioritise groups with lower income, so they will be looking at your income levels. Again, it's a simple online application. It's 3 questions, which will be: what would you like to do? How does your project meet our priorities? And how does your project involve your community? And again, applications must really show meaningful community involvement in the planning and delivery of the work that is taking place. Okay, you cannot apply for Awards for All and Reaching Communities for the same programme or project, but you can apply to both of them if it is for a different area of work or project. Now, Words for All is our busiest programme, and at the moment they have said that they are currently experiencing high levels of demand. So just check in with the website to see what their current what their turnaround time is. It's usually around 12 to 16 weeks, but please they do keep the website updated with the timeframes. And Awards for All is our most successful applicant. Reaching Communities is very competitive, with only a 20% success rate at the first stage, and then it flips to 80% at the second one. Awards for All, we do have a higher success rate. Okay, so if we go on to the next one, as I mentioned earlier, Awards for All haven't yet moved over to our new priorities and missions, so they're still working with the ones that we had previously. So when you're applying for Awards for All at the moment, you do need to meet at least one of these priorities here, which is bringing people together to build strong relationships, improving places and spaces that matter to communities, helping more people to reach their potential and early intervention, and then supporting people, communities, and organisations that are facing more demands and challenging times because of the cost of living. Now, as you can see, it's not that different really from the mission. So they are within the same lines, but they will be moving over to the new missions later on in the year. So again, the website will be updated once that's going to happen. Okay, so if we go on to the next slide. Okay, so we are going to be holding some follow-up appointments so if you are wanting to discuss applying for the Reaching Communities in more detail, then please do contact your local Action Together representative to arrange an appointment. So for Rochdale, it will be Trish Cartner, for Oldham, Sharon McGregor, and for Tameside, it will be Dawn Acton or Jonathan King, and they can schedule in an appointment with myself or Kerry, who's the Tameside funding officer. Okay, and if we just go to the next slide. Just to say thank you for coming and listening to me. I know I've provided a lot of information and within a short time, so please do look through the slide deck and use the links to the website for further information, especially when you're looking at and considering applying and what you're going to be coming in for. Obviously, there's a link there to our website, but also the email addresses for myself and Kerry. Kerry's the funding officer for Tameside. If you've got any queries after, or you don't want to come to a follow-up, but you've got a few queries, please drop us an email. And there's our general advice and email that information there as well.